The ANC policy conference enters its second day in Nasrec. Businesses are focused on what will come out of the discussions to impact the economy positively. Newzroom Afrika's Tumaole Mohlaoli is with the Black Business Council's Kganki Matabane, and she joins us live from Nasrec. I'm sure Eskom will be a talking point, but also this issue that is outlined on the policy document, that there have been profound changes in the class structure of South African society, especially within the black community. However, there's a widely held view that it's the so-called black elites who have benefited from the likes of BEE, for instance. Tumaole would be great to get the CEO's thought on that.
Well, indeed, Dudu, and let's go straight into it. Dr. Kganki Matabane, thanks for speaking to us here on Newzroom Afrika. Now, this question about the profound development or changes we're seeing in the black business or industrialist community or sector in South Africa is still a very difficult one, because although we are seeing those changes, those are not widespread changes, and many argue it's only elitist. What do you think are the structural challenges to preventing what is espoused in the ANC policies?
Good morning to Tumaole and the viewers, and thank you very much for having us. I think that there are very few challenges. What we've done, we've looked at the ANC resolutions for the past few years. I think mainly looking at the economic ones from 1994. And the implementation of that is not necessarily impressive. For example, the issue of Post Bank as a state bank has not been done. The Reserve Bank matter is just hanging. The land issue is just hanging. The establishment of a pharmaceutical company is not there, and that could have helped us during COVID. So we did our analysis, and then we realized that there's a capacity at the state level that is missing, because there are talks here, there are discussions here, but this needs to be taken to the government and be translated into actions, and then those actions must be monitored, and then by the time we come here again in 5 years' time, we should be coming here with a scorecard that said this is done, this is not done, this is done, and when others are not done, we can then come up with a reason to say why, and then hold people accountable. But it looks like from where we are sitting, there's no capacity to implement. So the talk is there, the documents are there. We move from one policy to the next. Even in government, I don't know whether we're talking about the National Development Plan or not. So I think that's where we need to start.
So this lack of capacity and lack of accountability and implementation, would you put the blame squarely on the black business community, or would that also then translate to government having to basically mollycoddle or push the black business sector to ensure that it does what it was hoped to do, and what the, of course, policy framework is supposed to allow it to do?
Yes, remember the black business community lobbies those who are in power. Government is the one that is in power. The government is the one that's got the levers. Government is the one that passes law. And they are the ones who are supposed to implement those laws. And we then push for them to actually implement them. But if implementation doesn't happen, the blame should be with government, because government is the one that has got levers. It has been elected by us so that they can implement our own ambitions, our own objectives. And then if that is not done, the blame has to be with government. And when you look at, for example, the black industrialists and the reason why some of these things are not happening, there are policies that are supposed to be talking to each other, but they are not. I'll give you one example. There was a black industrialist who was funded by the IDC, and that person had a contract for 500 million. He had a contract with Transnet. The contract came to an end, and then the contract was given to someone else who's not a black industrialist. Now the person is sitting with a debt of 500 million. IDC is sitting with a 500 million problem. So you can see that the procurement policies of government don't talk to the industrialization policies of government. They don't talk to the funding policies of government. So there's a lack of coordination. Again, maybe it's because of capacity of the state. There's no capacity in the state. We're not necessarily employing the best of the best. Because if you employ the best of the best, they will be able to pick up these challenges that we have. So we need to make sure that the policies that we pass are coordinated and they are talking to each other. Policy one cannot talk right and then policy two talk to the left. When you look at, for example, the reason why some of these black companies are dying is because the very same government that gave them money through the black industrialists, they are not paying them on time. So you see, again, it's a policy issue because the policy said fund them, but small businesses depend on cash flow. If you don't pay them on time, you don't pay them at all, what do you mean? And then we've been raising these issues. We raised these issues even with the president of the country to say, but how do we have the state that is supposed to use this procurement muscle to support and grow small businesses and black businesses in particular, not pay the very same businesses? So they kill them, and then the unemployment rate goes to where it is now, when we've got 75% of young people unemployed. And then where must the blame be? The blame can't be on the business because the business has delivered what it's supposed to deliver, but it has not been paid by the very same government that's supposed to support it. So there's something that needs to happen there, and people are not being held accountable. There's a law called the Public Audit Act that says if a department of government has not paid a service providers in 30 days, the Director General must be held accountable. But the ministers are not holding the Director Generals accountable. The Director General are not holding the staff accountable.
Right. But Mr. Matabane, that also cuts both ways because whereas as the State Capture Commission of Inquiries findings and investigations have shown that there's a stark failure also in terms of how black so-called industrialists have been doing their jobs with the issue of moonlighting, advance payments, where people who claim to be doing a certain job just get the pay, don't do the job and disappear. That has not painted a good picture on the development of black industrialists and the black economy, so to speak. How does that confidence then be regained? What should the policies be speaking to? You spoke about accountability, which is quite important, but more than accountability, what about the issue of consequence management?
Yes, I agree with you. There are always going to be black sheep in any environment. But what then needs to happen, and we've been calling for this, people must be taken to task. People who have robbed the state, people who have gotten the money without delivering anything, laws are there. Those people have to be dealt with, whether they are black or white, because they are not giving black economic empowerment a good name. They have to be dealt with, brought to book, and we have to make examples with those type of people. We need to blacklist them from doing business with government, but we must be consistent. When we do that to black business, we must also do that to white business. There are white business companies like KPMG, McKinsey's, and others who they are still doing business with government. So you see, government also then is not setting a good example. We need to blacklist all those people who are swindling government. People are supposed to deliver service as per their contract. They're supposed to do exactly what they're supposed to do. They must also do quality. Those who do shoddy jobs, who build toilets and not build RDP houses, those must be taken to court, to task and be arrested and be dealt with, so that everyone else who is thinking of doing the same thing must see an example. Hence, again, consequence management is very, very important, and it must be applied across the board, applied consistently, so that we set examples for those who are thinking of taking chances. They will never do that if we apply consequence management properly.
All right. Now, thank you very much for that. That was, of course, Kganki Matabane from the Black Business Council, just giving us the overview of the challenges that are faced when one looks at the policies here at the ANC's National Policy Conference, and those policies would be speaking as to how to grow and stabilize an economy that's already reeling from various challenges, including COVID-19, as well as, of course, the scourge of corruption and state capture, something that the ANC is looking to move beyond and to create a stable economy that, of course, absorbs labor and creates jobs. With that, it's back to you in the studio, too.
The Tumaole Mohlaoli coming to us from Nasrec.